Happy Thanksgiving! In honor of this holiday, here's my top 10 most gluttonous video game characters. Here's number 10.
Snake!
That's right, Snake, the hero of the PS2 stealth survival game Metal Gear Solid 3, appropriately subtitled Snake Eater. I just said that. Yeah, we get it by now. He eats snakes, among other types of flora and fauna, in order to survive in the cruel Russian wilderness. Throughout the game, Snake is in a constant struggle to keep his stamina up by eating. If his stamina gets too low, his aim will be thrown off, among other things. Stealth is the name of the game, so the last thing he needs is for his stomach to give him away.
What's that sound? Who's that?
I wouldn't exactly call Snake a picky eater, but he won't like everything he eats.
Sick.
He's got to do what he's got to do to survive.
This is rotten.
But eating expired foodstuffs can have undesired results. Snake's at the bottom of my list of gluttons because it's all about survival, but man does he have to eat often. At the risk of sounding mushy, when you're eating your turkey and cranberry sauce this year, be thankful because we don't all have it that easy.
I'm gonna puke.
Okay, Snake, you're right, that was pretty mushy.
I could go for seconds.
Number 9.
The so-called Master Higgins, or Wonder Boy in New Adventure Island, now available on the Virtual Console. Another game where eating means survival, although much more simplistic than Metal Gear Solid 3. In this game, Master Higgins has to rush to each level's goal without dying. If he's not protected by a ferry or a skateboard, one hit and he's dead. That's not all he has to worry about though. He's also in a race against the clock because his stamina bar ticks down until he's dead. Maybe he wouldn't expend energy so fast if he wasn't always running everywhere. He even runs in place. What a goof. To keep his stamina up, he has to constantly be eating food, most of which miraculously materializes as he jumps through the stages. Weird. The biggest drain on him comes in the form of an eggplant, which saps his stamina for a limited amount of time. Someone doesn't like their veggies.
Number 8.
Mr. Mosquito, from the PS2 game Mr. Mosquito. The hero, or anti-hero of the game I should say, is Mr. Mosquito, a bloodthirsty insect feeding off the Yamada family all summer to stock up for the cold winter months. That means mooching off everyone in the house at any opportunity, especially at an inopportune time for the victim. It's not that simple though. Like in the Metal Gear games, stealth means survival. If Mr. Mosquito isn't careful, a blood feast can quickly turn into a blood fest. Mr. Mosquito proves that if you drink and fly, you're gonna die.
How do you like the scalding water, huh? Speak to you soon.
Mr. Mosquito is simply doing what mosquitoes are expected to, but he lands best at the number 8 spot on the countdown for the dizzying amount of blood he sucks from his host. Talk about bloodlust. I mean, just look at him go.
So good.
That's excessive. What a perverted pest.
You pest!
Number 7.
Blobbert the Blob from A Boy and His Blob. Trouble on Blobonia. I feel like Mushmouth. OBKB. So in this NES game, you actually play as the boy who befriends a gelatinous alien blob. To progress through the game, you have to feed Blobbert cleverly named jelly beans that transform him into useful objects. For example, punch-flavored jelly beans make him punch a hole in the floor. Or licorice-flavored jelly beans turn him into a ladder. Well, yeah, that's actually pretty creative, but this game isn't my favorite, and I've never played it for more than a few minutes. Nevertheless, Blobbert easily glides into this spot because progression in this game is solely dependent on stuffing your plump pal with jelly beans until he develops diabetes. How sweet.
Number 6.
Ham, from the rhythm-based Bust a Groove for PlayStation 1. You might not expect a character of this girth in a dancing game, but don't be fooled, this guy can dance. Well, sorta. I've gotta apologize for this lame video game footage. My Bust a Groove disc has seen better days, so here's the practice stage. Anyway, Ham is a huge fan of hamburgers. In fact, his stage is the hamburger joint he works at. Ham's theme music is I Love Hamburgers. Yes, a song about how much he loves hamburgers. Does that surprise anyone? He loves hamburgers so much, he wrote and sang a song about it. Sorry, there's not much to say about this guy except he loves hamburgers, and he clearly belongs at number 6 on this list. Look at those moves. Well, at least he's active.
Yo! What you doing? Don't lose the beat!
Oh, sorry, I was thinking about hamburgers.
Number 5.
Chubby Cherub, from the NES game of the same name. Again, it's about eating to keep energy up, or else he'll croak. They don't call him Chubby Cherub for nothing. He's got a bit of a sweet tooth, and the only way to fill the vacancy in his soul is by cramming his angelic face with cupcakes, rice balls, grapes, the letter P, stuff, and of course things. But it's not going to be that easy for him either. There are dogs in the neighborhood that know what he's up to, and they're not going to let him snag all that floating food for himself. They'll bark at him or even jump across rooftops to stop that greedy little glutton. Save some mid-air munchies for us, you skyjacking son of a gun. Oh, what a jerk. See you in hell, thief.
Number 4.
That's right, Yoshi. Specifically from Yoshi's Story, now available on the Virtual Console. A game that's totally based on eating. Yeah, Yoshi's always been into eating, but not like this. You can't even progress to the next level until you've eaten 30 fruit. 30! That's not even counting all the other stuff Yoshi will eat. Peppers, flowers, Shy Guys, fish, and a ton of other enemies. Even bosses aren't safe from his ravenous appetite. These omnivorous dinosaurs can even eat and turn enemies into eggs that they can then throw at other objects or enemies. They'll eat almost anything, but they can be kinda picky. Some fruits are liked more than others depending on the individual Yoshi, but one thing they can all agree on is melons. Adorable little overeaters they are.
Number 3.
A circle with eyes. Okay, I know. What am I looking at? Oh yeah, Kirby. From Kirby's Adventure, now on the Virtual Console. Yep, the pink puffy marshmallow. Even his dreams are filled with thoughts of eating. There, he got his just desserts. Unlike Yoshi, who craps enemies out as eggs, Kirby consumes baddies and takes their powers. There can only be one! Eating bad guys with different attributes yields different powers. He can then use these powers to attack other enemies. Some don't yield any powers, but that won't stop Kirby from eating them or just spitting them out at other enemies instead. I can't be sure, but I think Kirby's got some kind of eating disorder. Just look at him go. It's no wonder Kirby's pink, 'cause he's a pig. Kirby, you should know by now, eating that fast always results in heartburn. Kirby the pleasantly plump sphere effortlessly rolls into the number 3 spot. And our hearts. Aww.
Number 2.
Pinta, the penguin, from one of the craziest, coolest, Japanesest Famicom games you've probably never played. Yume Penguin Monogatari, literally Dream Penguin Story, or Penguin Dream Story. Yeah. Pinta's girlfriend Penko has just informed him that she's leaving him for the cooler, slimmer antagonist Ginji, unless Pinta can prove to her that he really likes her by losing weight. Wow. Talk about shallow. Can you even imagine the reaction to this game if it had been released in the US? Yeah, probably something like that. Even as she threatens him with leaving, he's stuffing his face. Maybe he does need to change his eating habits. As Penta starts, he's a king-sized penguin and he needs to get through the levels while finding diet drinks to shape up. The evil Ginji has sent his henchmen out to fatten Penta up by chucking food in his gob. And that plump penguin doesn't put up much of a fight. When he's at his biggest, he attacks with an awkward gut attack. He also moves slower and can't jump as well. Doesn't matter what shape he's in now, taking on water weight will restore him to his former tubbiness. Completing a level depends on meeting the weight goal set by his girlfriend within the time limit. Naturally, getting hit with food and enemies makes it harder for him to reach this goal. It's kind of unfair, really. He's on a diet and he's bombarded with food and attacked by a giant cake. If only that fat penguin had some discipline, he could find love. There's a good thing to teach kids. Here's a hint, and I know what you may be thinking, but it's not the boys in green. You've probably heard this rumor before, but supposedly, video game designer Toru Iwatani partly came up with this character over a pizza. How appropriate, right? A slice of pizza was removed, and there he was. Pac-Man. Pac-Man defines classic and has been re-released practically countless times for nearly every console in one form or another. No matter what form this game takes, the simple concept almost always remains the same. Binge eating. Hundreds of dots per screen, ghosts, fruit, and of course, power pellets. He is one yellow wedge short of a complete circle, and he's gonna eat everything he can to fill the void. Here's the latest Pac-Man release, Pac-Man Championship Edition for Xbox Live Arcade. It's like the Pac-Man you know and love, but on ecstasy pills. Goemon 047 does not condone the use of ecstasy or any other drugs for that matter. Remember kids, winners don't use drugs.
What?
Aside from the trippy neon graphics and euphoric dance music, other changes have been made. For one thing, there's a time limit. And eating all the dots makes a fruit appear. When you eat fruits in this version of Pac-Man, more dots appear in another section of the maze. This game is definitely an interesting take on one of the greatest classic games of all time, and I would recommend it.
Happy Thanksgiving. Remember to chew your food thoroughly. You're not Pac-Man after all.